Hello, this is the SIG cluster, Kubernetes SIG cluster lifecycle meeting for cluster API provider AWS of the 28th of June, 2021. Please be aware we're abiding by the CNCF code of conduct, which broadly is be excellent to each other. Use the raise hand feature if you can, if you've got a point to make, and I guess we'll get going. So got one PSA, I think it's from Richard, about the E2E tests are having some issues on the EKS side. I think he's investigating. He can't make it today. So he gave some apologies earlier today. So I'm not sure if anyone else can speak to that. Does anyone else know about those EKS tests? No. All right then.
No,
So,
I saw an issue about route tables, but I don't know the details.
oh, okay. All right. Well, we'll follow up tomorrow, I guess. Yeah, let's go over the action items. There's one for Richard. 2361, what one's that?
Is that the merging the EKS control plane one?
No. So yes, I think that we'll come on to that. I think that's the next issue on the issues. Issue 2361's around affinity for control plane. So that's around if you're using, we deployed the cluster with at least for on EC2 mode. The control plane instances have sufficient permissions to do all the work through their instance profile. You'd want to pin there, ideally, after we create the cluster, we pin the controller to the control plane. So we got Sadaf did the PR to add a command to cluster AWS ADM to do that. But if we set it in the templates, then in the infrastructure components template, then it won't work on EKS. I don't think we've come to a conclusion about what to do about that. So I think Richard was considering adding some privileged default workers to the EKS cluster, but I don't know what the outcome of that is. So, but yeah, it's a tricky one. I guess we'll need to follow up on that again. So I will put an X on that one. ADR required for launch templates. I don't think we took an owner for that one. Can anyone speak to that? I think it might be in a meeting I wasn't at. Dane?
Sorry, not really about launch templates, but just that I think we're not seeing the node stock, we're seeing Evernode.
Oh, Sadaf, I think you're sharing the wrong thing.
Oh, you don't see the cluster API nodes?
No, we're seeing oh no, we might need to do some editing in post. There you go. Yeah, that's yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, sorry. Joel. I think you're mute.
Not with it today. The launch template thing, I think that might be from the spot instance discussion we had a while back where we were talking about launch templates. I haven't followed the conversation since because I've had to sort of take a little break from cluster API for a couple of months. But getting back into that, I think is important soon. So if that's what that is, I can probably start looking at that soon.
Okay, that sounds good. I was thinking one thing, we were talking about switching to using fleets at one point. I'm thinking maybe even if we don't do the work right now, it might be a good idea to change instance type from a single string to a slice so that we can introduce the feature without making another breaking API change. So we can make the change now for v07, not implement it, just yet, and we can control that in the admission webhook. And then when we add the feature, we can remove the validation.
Yeah, that seems reasonable. The only thing I'd say is like, if we do that and then we never get round to doing this, is that then bad?
We should make the change and then do the follow-up to do the work as like priority, critical, urgent, and make sure we do it in like 07X, or just do it. It depends. If it's simple to do, then yeah.
I think the blocker there was we wanted to have some sort of launch template representation in a Kubernetes native way, so that then we could have those managed. And then you're like, you would optionally have like a launch template reference in the machine template or machine pool template, whatever it is, that then uses that. So if that's the case, we may not need to have the multiple values in the API where it currently exists, if we're just saying, you know, the new field is the launch template and that overrides the inline spec. I think that's where we need to, you know, actually flesh out the details of what we want to do on the design so we can work that out.
Okay. All right, we should probably sort out what we're doing for 07. Like we need to, plus API v1 alpha 4 is out, so we need to get on it. Should we chat tomorrow then?
Yeah.
All right. Any other points? We'll take the next one. Bootstrap token launch templates approach. I guess this is to do with secrets manager. Does anyone got the background on that? I think it's been traveling a couple of meetings. No.
In the previous meeting, actually someone suggested to use secrets manager instead of recreating a large template every time a Bootstrap token is generated. Instead, how about we keep the in secrets manager and keep a single launch template? Well, who was it? I don't recall in the previous meeting that mentioned this is an option. Maybe Dane?
It was both myself and Richard Case.
Okay. So I would just say on one note is there is the upcoming node attestation business from Cappy. We haven't started work on that, so it's going to be for Cluster API v04x, but that was going to replace the KubeADM Bootstrap token business anyway, by basically having taken a small part of the cloud provider interface and making it a cluster API mechanism to join the cluster without any Bootstrap tokens. So I'm not averse to, the problem with secrets manager is it's not in every region. So we had that issue with the users data business. So for AWS secret region, we had to put SSM parameter store. I don't know if they sorted that, if AWS has sorted that out. But yeah, so I don't know. Daniel.
Oh, so just wanted to ask that there's a in progress PR for Ignition Bootstrap support, and I wonder if that, I guess that's going to need to be depending on what the order of things, but that will interact a little bit with this, right?
Yeah, it would. Well, yeah, maybe, yes.
Maybe.
I think the Ignition support is based around using the S3 include.
Okay.
We were waiting. I don't know if it's merged in Cluster API yet. I don't think it has.
No, it's not. No.
Yeah, so and that whole PR needs a lot of rebasing as well. So I don't know where, need to follow up in. I think that
but we're not aware of any anything that would make like node attestation is not going to like block Ignition support. There's some way to make it. There's some way to make it work. We think, or we just maybe don't know. We need to look.
the attestation was kind of designed with Ignition in mind.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I don't. My bad.
Partially. I will throw a link to the design, but it's completely agnostic, and you can. One of the other use cases is to use like NetApp spot ints, so you don't even have to use cluster API to provision a node and have it still join the cluster. So yeah, we're supposed to tick off a lot of base. It's supposed to start us along the road without having. Right now we've got Cloud Init, specific code in CAPI and Kappa, and now we're adding Ignition to both, and it was always a bad idea. Like, we need to start decoupling that. So I think it was one of the parts of like trying to sort out that mess.
Thanks.
Any other comments? Next one's from Richard. So this is merging EKS control plane and Bootstrap providers into the single provider. So I'll speak to this briefly, since Richard's not here. So the EKS control plane provider is a separate provider in the same repo at present. And the V1 Alpha 4 multi-tenancy, well, not V1, well, we have a multi-tenancy contract in Kappa, which is the same model that CAPC is using, and it's going to be documented for V1 Alpha 4, and I think MelCube is adding it now as well. So you have cluster scope credentials, and cluster scope credentials can refer to secrets, but it will only pick up secrets in the same controller, in the same namespace as a controller. Given that the EKS control plane is a separate provider using some of the same resources, you end up with a conflict in the secrets going in different places. So one of the ideas is now is the time to promote EKS from like being super experimental into being sort of broadly supported by Kappa and integrating it into the main controller. We can still have it as a feature gate to turn on or off, but basically have a single provider that does all of the things, which would also make the cluster cuddle in it simpler as well. So you do, yeah, and you'll be able to deploy either type with the same bits. Are there any objections to doing that, or any comments on doing that? Joel?
Is it worth having, I don't know, an option, a flag or something that allows users to turn this off if they don't need it? For instance, like if I was going to use this, I'd probably not working with EKS stuff. I might just want to run the sort of like core bit of it without the EKS stuff. Maybe that's a use case that we want to consider if we're merging them all together.
Yeah, I think so. It's a bit hard to. Yeah, the only issue is the CRDs are probably going to get applied anyway, and I think that's already kind of the case because there were some chicken and egg issues around the EKS control plane anyway, where you basically had to have the EKS CRDs deployed in the first controller. But yeah, I think having a flag to turn it off, a bit like we have for cluster resource set. So we would take off the experimental flag. This would mean that the EKS provider, we've been a bit loose and fast with breaking API changes for EKS. That we'd have to give much stronger guarantees around API around that, which I don't think is a bad thing. I see Dane's nodding his head. Dane, do you want to, because you're the other main user of the EKS bit, do you have any comments?
Yeah, the hardening of the API would definitely be appreciated from our standpoint, because as it stands right now, as we work, we maintain a fork to avoid the breaking changes, and we have to cherry pick or backport things as we need them. And it's not a state that we want to do long term, but it was just necessary in order for us to actually make this usable in production while we developed it. So
Okay.
We also have a number of changes in that fork that I think we still need to upstream. I know we did some of them, but I actually just created a ticket for my team to look for any outliers and make sure that issues and pull requests get opened for those. Either just bugs or tiny features to work around bad interactions and things like that.
That'd be great. All right. That's the end. Is there any other topics we want to discuss before we just go on to the milestone review? Nope. All right. So I did shove everything that was not an API change into 07X because there were 60 issues. So should we just go through each of these? And Sedef, why don't you maybe you've got the
Sure.
GitHub open, so I'll hand over to you.
Yeah. So this first issue is a simple naming change, I think. So no one assigned to it yet, I think. I mean, should I try to assign these now, or
It might be
how-
worth it might be worth assigning some owners, since we should get our V1 Alpha 4 release sorted. Right?
Yeah.
You don't have to assign it to yourself.
Yeah, if anyone volunteers when we go over the issues, just let me know. This one is about AWS resource reference.
Yeah, we discussed this ages ago when we allow there's certain areas in the spec where we've taken a filter type, but we've not implemented it on the spec. I'll take that one. Why not?
So this is assigned to Shivani right now.
Yeah, I'm working on
Yeah.
this one.
Okay, cool.
We could punt this one, so that's around refactoring the code. So it wouldn't be a API change. This
So
isn't.
can we move it to 07X?
Yeah.
This is active. Someone is working on it, but it's been a while.
Yeah. So I believe Michael moved on. So, but we just discussed this earlier. So do you want to maybe assign it to Joel, and then we'll follow up tomorrow.
Okay.
I'll take that one as well. So that's come up internally.
Okay. So for this one, for some tests, okay, I'll take this one.
Is
I
it
think we
release
already.
blocking? Is it release blocking though? It's not really, is it?
No. I think we already did the most of it, so I'll just double check. Oh, this one is opened by Rich. Maybe I can assign this to Rich so that he can triage.
Yeah, it's probably not release blocking either.
Yeah.
And I would probably cancel the lifecycle given it was lifecycle active in October 2020.
This is an old issue as well. There was new, I saw some new PRs related to lookup, but not sure if those solved it.
I think this is
Is-
related to the conversation that you were having, you know, around AMI, like improving the AMI. Do we have an AMI CRD?
Okay, so
I think
how
it's
about
related to that.
we change the naming if it is,
Yeah,
if
probably.
we can. Yeah, okay. So let me assign this to myself, follow up.
I'll take that one. It's fairly easy, but
Okay. I don't recall of reading this issue. So. Okay, I'll take this
Yeah.
one.
Okay.
Or is there anyone else?
Could you also
can-
assign this to me? Sorry.
Yeah, no problem. Go ahead.
I was to say we've had similar issue that we were trying to work out how to do this for OpenShift as well. So I would definitely like to follow this. So far, we were just like, there's not much we can do. It's unsafe. But I think I'd definitely like to be involved in any conversations that happen around this. So
yeah, I think what we need to do is like not set a finalizer until the first AWS call has been successful. Because it will, what happens now is it sets a finalizer, and then because you can't look up any EC2 instances because the credentials are invalid, you can't delete it, even though nothing was ever created.
yeah, I think as the logic's designed at the moment, it's very difficult to tell and make it safely tell whether something was actually created. So it's going to need a bit of a refactor, I think.
Okay. So I'll assign to myself and follow up later. Maybe Shivani, if when we decide on how to proceed with that, Shivani, you may take over. I'm assigning this to you too. Someone is already assigned to it, but it's an old issue.
It was months ago though, so
Yeah.
I reassign it to me and I'll see where that is.
What is this about?
So you don't need a NAT gateway. I don't know if it's only EKS affected. I think it's both. So I'll check on that.
Okay. I will take a look at this. This is already in progress, if I remember correctly. I think we already have a PR also.
Yeah.
for this.
I've also checked and tested it, so it's working fine.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so we are done for the triage part. All the issues have at least one assignees.
All right. Shall we follow up? I mean, we have a meeting every 2 weeks, but should we follow up in Slack next Monday, see where we are with stuff?
Yeah, I think it's a good idea.
Yeah. And just one final thing, if anyone new wants to introduce themselves or returning wants to introduce themselves, they can now. Or not.
Yeah, so I'll go. Hi everyone. This is Shivani. I joined VMware on like May, and I've recently started contributing to cluster lifecycle, and I've majorly started with Kappa provider. So I'm a pretty new contributor in this and looking forward to solve more issues. And I had discussion with Nadir and Sedef before, but others are pretty new to me. So hi all.
Thanks.
Thank you.
All right. And if there's nothing else, we'll call it. Going once. Going, Daniel was trying to wave. Going twice. Going three times. All right. See you in 2 weeks. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye all.
Bye.